Hey guys, welcome back to Chariot Palmistry. In this video, we're going to be having a look at the situation in Bangladesh and how it's going to be affecting the rest of the world. Really talking about the energy behind what's going on with the protests over there. But just as a heads up, this video won't actually be giving you predictions on what's going to be happening into the future like I normally do in my videos. In this video, I want to teach you guys how to think and observe what's happening in the world. So if I teach you guys that basic little skill set, you'll be able to make predictions for the rest of the world yourselves. So before we get into this video, let me also just explain really quickly what's been going on in Bangladesh. So a couple of weeks ago, the students over there started protesting the government's hiring policies. And you'd think something very simple or innocent like that would be just a quiet protest that no one would pay attention to. Instead, what ended up happening was the government overreacted and cracked down on these protests. Actually ended up killing over 300 people. And then that blew completely out of proportion. And just yesterday, the Bangladeshi Prime Minister, Sheikh Hasina, resigned her office and fled to India. So that's just the very quick lowdown on what's happened there. I want you guys to look at two very simple observations on this one. The first observation is that the fact that the millennials just toppled a government. This is just so incredible to see. So, firstly, a couple of weeks ago, I put out a video series, which I called the most important video series I'm ever going to make. And in those series of videos, I talked about the end of the industrial age and the birth of the information age, how this is going to cause a lot of chaos for the world around us. One principle I put into that video was the idea that all future political movements will have to follow information age principles. And I use the example of Gandhi and how he used the British media to turn public opinion of England against English colonialism, and how the Arab Spring used information age principles such as Facebook and social media to topple their governments. Similarly, the Bangladeshi students have used information age principles to topple an industrial age government. It is amazing to see. Coming into the future in the years ahead, you're going to notice more and more authoritarian governments being toppled by millennials using information age principles. So that's the first observation I want you guys to take. The second observation here is that of England. There are two events that have happened in England recently. The first, that the British Prime Minister lost an election. They have a new Prime Minister now. And the second observation is that there are massive protests going on in England at the moment. We've got these two events happening in England. We've got a resigning Prime Minister in Bangladesh, and massive protests there. There's a little bit of similarity going on between these two countries. And this is one, I suppose, big observation for you guys to have, in that when you notice two countries following similar structures or similar patterns, you can make predictions about one country based on the observations of what's happening in the other country. You see, recently I put out a video on the US elections, and I noticed that America has been following the same pattern as Pakistan and Russia for a number of years now. And so we can make predictions on what will happen to the Americans over the next 6 months or so based on what happened to the Pakistanis over the past 6 months. Similarly, we should be able to make predictions on what happens to England or Bangladesh or vice versa. You see, ultimately, there's only about 108 different destinies that people can have. There's really just 108 structures there. So if you walk down the street, for example, next time you walk down the street, have a look at the faces of the people you meet. So there's only 108 unique types of faces there. Once you meet 108 people, every face will start to repeat itself. And same thing with body structure and height and all that stuff. The same thing is there with destiny. And not just destiny with individuals, but destiny with families, with groups of people, with countries as well. So I want to leave you guys with that thought. Look at these two countries, England and Bangladesh, to know the future of those places. All right. Thanks a lot, guys.